The three legendary One Chicago shows have been as strong as ever this fall season, and we have good news for all the fans. Chicago Fire Season 11, Chicago PD Season 10, and Chicago Med Season 8 all return on November 2nd. How exciting! Now, there are promises made by the network concerning the return of the lights, drama, and action. Let's see what they're all about. To begin with, let's talk about our personal favorite, Chicago Med. Now be warned, there might be some spoilers ahead, so proceed at your own risk. The doctors of Chicago Med have all survived the tense cliffhanger from Season 7, but they're now facing a new type of challenge: supply shortages. That's never good, is it? Goodwin's had to make some difficult decisions about how to use the limited resources at their disposal, and the doctors have had to get creative to treat their patients. Some even had to break the law to achieve this, but don't worry, we won't spill who it was if you haven't seen the season yet. Now NBC says that Crockett will be dealing with the fallout from Jack Dayton shining the spotlight on him in the next episode on November 2nd. Crockett adjusts to his newfound celebrity by assisting Will in treating a local restaurant owner. What's more, Ethan, Charles, and Goodwin assist a new mother who's concerned about injuring her baby. And as is the norm, Maggie and Vanessa disagree with a patient who's eager to return to work. It'll be interesting to see how Ethan handles his case of the week, given that the most recent episode demonstrated how much he's changed over the years, as April pointed out. Plus, Brian T. is leaving the show in December, so the episodes left before his departure are ticking away. We know how many of you are heartbroken at this news, so we're sending virtual hugs to all. There. Now, let's address the legendary Chicago Fire. Rumor has it that the show is all set to return after the head-turning Halloween episode. Speaking of which, don't you think that's what may have set Gallo up to have his secret revealed, whether he likes it or not? All-out mystery will be less spooky but no less exciting, with Severide and Stella possibly playing Fire Cop again. NBC has given us a tiny little sneak peek into the episode. Severide and Kid investigate a jewelry store explosion. Cruz and Chloe take steps to permanently integrate Javi into their family. Gallo, Ritter, and Mouch make an attempt to connect with Carver. After how they all came together back in Season 10, Cruz and Chloe working to make Javi a permanent part of the family should be a heartwarming part of All-Out Mystery, at least if they're successful. And if they aren't, well, we'll learn to deal with that too. Carver might need some of that bonding time with the other firefighters in light of the tension between him and Stella. We can't wait to see what the new episode holds for us. Coming up, at long last, here's what we know about the fan-favorite Chicago PD. In the previous episode, we all know Upton realized that Chief O'Neill's son might be a serial killer who has gotten away with his crimes for years, and that is a whole other story we'd like to address someday. But the focus is shifting to Atwater in the new episode called Sympathetic Reflex. While he has been the member of intelligence who has kept the most to himself, it appears that he will be accused of the opposite in new episodes. At least that's what NBC's preview told us. The reactions of Atwater during a tense arrest are called into question. The team must sift through the evidence to help the ongoing investigation and clear Atwater's name. Maybe Atwater will get lucky one day, or hopefully make detective, as actor Leroyce Hawkins has hoped. Either way, it's comforting to know that the team clearly has his back, and based on some comments from new series regular Benjamin Levy Aguilar, perhaps more Torres Atwater moments are on the way. So, who's excited? Now, it's time we ask the million-dollar question. Will Jesse Lee Soffer cameo in the episode he directs? Wouldn't we all love to know that? Jesse Lee Soffer abruptly resigned from the Chicago Police Department. He announced his departure from the show months before his final episode aired, and the Season 10 premiere was marred by speculation about whether he would be killed or transferred. Thankfully, his character, Halstead, is still alive and fighting drug cartels in Bolivia. While Halstead is away on business, Soffer will remain in the Chicago PD orbit, as he's set to direct an upcoming Season 10 episode. So, now we're bound to ask, will he play Halstead in his directorial debut? Coming up, here's all that we know so far. Let's start with the obvious setbacks. Yes, Halstead is in South America, and he's stated that he intends to stay for at least 8 months. Yes, seeing him return to Chicago so soon after his exit would invalidate the entire setup and execution. Yes, his return to the IU would destabilize Upton's emotional state, but there are some more plausible scenarios in which Halstead could appear. He could leave a voicemail or call Upton, which is a cameo concept we saw the Chicago Fire use with Casey last season. Also, he could also contact Upton via Zoom or Skype, which could exacerbate the latter's internal conflict. All we're saying is that it's possible. But it does seem highly unlikely, doesn't it? Soffer has made a point of separating himself from the role, for the time being, stating that he wishes to take a break from solving crimes in Chicago. A return this soon may give fans the wrong idea about when they can expect him to return, and we wouldn't want to get our hopes up for no reason, right? A cameo could also undermine Soffer's intention as the episode's director. It's clear that he wants wants to try his hand at a different aspect of the creative process, and agreeing to get back in the Halstead gear would overshadow any ideas he might have as a planner and storyteller. We're thrilled that Soffer remains a member of the One Chicago family and is open to returning, but don't expect to see him in front of the camera anytime soon. Now, let's wrap up this conversation with a little more insight into Chicago Med, our favorite. Now, we all know Crockett was fighting to save lives in a more stressful environment than usual previously in Chicago Med, as he was on the scene of a subway wreck and had to work with another man to save the conductor's life. As it turns out, that other man, aka Sasha Royce, will play an important role in Crockett's future in Season 8. Royce appeared on Med as a recurring guest star as Jack Dayton, and The Apple Doesn't Fall Far from the Teacher introduced him as the creator and innovator behind the train that derailed but was intended to change the world. He became famous for his work and tried to portray himself as a hero, but he admitted to Crockett that all he wanted to do was make more money, and it's his good fortune that'll make him famous in the future. The initial casting announcement for Royce revealed that he's a man with millions of dollars to back up his interests, and that Crockett would have a big storyline for him where he rescues a guy who's a very wealthy Chicago entrepreneur. It's clear that Jack Dayton is the wealthy Chicago entrepreneur mentioned by the co-showrunner, and Crockett did a lot of rescuing after the subway accident. Now, let's learn more about that. In the new episode, when Vanessa's drug dealer reappears, the effects of supply chain shortages continue to impact the ED. Crockett is forced to improvise because one of the victims of the recent train crash requires a transplant. Charles and Nellie assist a patient suffering from amnesia. As Nick Gelfus previously stated, supply chain shortages are still causing issues for the doctors of Med, and Vanessa may have made a big mistake this week by seeking assistance from a drug dealer. Dr. Charles and Nellie had a spat about treatment earlier in Season 8, so it will be interesting to see how they work together now that they've found common ground. The most important takeaway may be that Med is clearly rushing to bring Jack Dayton back. It's unclear whether Jack will be the one in need of a transplant, but all signs point to Crockett becoming a celebrity, whether he likes it or not. With the recent news that Chicago Med is losing another star, Season 8 is undoubtedly changing. Brian T. will leave the medical drama as Ethan Choi before the end of the year after the character underwent significant changes in Season 7. One thing's for certain, only time will tell what remains in store for Season 8. That's a wrap. Let us know in the comments what you think of all the upcoming episodes. Also, what do you think of Sasha Royce? Be sure to let us know, and in the meantime, we'll see you all later.